45. We got to move quickly here because we got sidetracked. So, all right. So now remember, he's done another round of testing with his brothers, and finally Judah has stepped up and says, look, this is going to kill my father. Take my life, make me your slave, kill me, do whatever. Just please don't take Benjamin. The life of the boy and the life of my father are intertwined. Please. So now Joseph sees the contrition of Judah and the brothers, even though they're not fully contrite and they haven't completely confessed their role with this mysterious brother who is, quote, no more, which they don't know is literally standing right in front of them, right? All right, so then Joseph could not control himself, right? So finally the emotion comes out. Before all those who stood by him, he cried, and it's literally, he shouts out, make everyone go out of the room. Now my assumption here is that he shouts this in Egyptian because the brothers, his birth brothers, blood brothers, do not speak Egyptian. Remember, he's been playing the interpreter game with them too. He shouts out in Egyptian, make everyone go out from me. So all the Egyptians leave, right? So no one stayed with him when Joseph made himself known to his brothers. Now he's going to speak to them in Hebrew, and this is going to shock them, right? Because they're like, whoa, this guy's understood us the entire time, and how does he know our language, right? He wept aloud so that the Egyptians heard it. So all the Egyptians can hear is the weeping and the Hebrew talk, and they don't know what's going on either, except for maybe one interpreter who knows, right? And the household of Pharaoh heard it. So he's literally, and you can imagine everything that's happened to him, why he would be wailing. So all the emotion is flooding out of him at this point. And Joseph said to his brothers, I am Joseph. Is my father still alive? But his brothers could not answer, for they were dismayed. All right, so finally, verses 1 and 2 and 3, everything is coming to a head. Joseph is overcome with the emotion. Should he do? Should he take revenge, right? Well, as fallen people and sinners, right, if everything that happened to Joseph happened to you, what would your first impulse be? Maybe part of revenge, you'd be torn. Most people, I think, would want some revenge, especially if you have the power to enact the revenge. Some people have thoughts and feelings of revenge, but they don't have the power to actually follow through with it.
But Joseph does.
Yeah, Joseph is in a place where his lives are in their hands. He could kill them all. He could send them to the pit. He could send them into prison. He could put them in chains, right? He could torture them to death. Right? Should he take revenge? Well, this being Easter Holy Week, and remember, Jesus is the better Joseph, and Joseph's life and the typology and the foreshadowing of his life points us to Jesus and what Jesus ultimately fulfills, right? Joseph's life mirrors, although in a lesser degree, the Christ who is to come. So it's Easter Wednesday, 2026. What did Jesus do after being betrayed, tortured, murdered, right? Did he seek revenge, right? So what is Easter all about, right? So how should we live our lives considering Joseph and Jesus' example? So we see in the text the following things, verse 4 and following. So Joseph said to his brother, come near to me. He doesn't shout out, get away from me. Please, he says. And they came near, and he said, I am your brother Joseph, whom you sold into Egypt. Now he's reminding them, in case you forgot, right? I don't think they've forgotten. And now do not be distressed or angry with yourselves. What? Because they shouldn't be angry at him. Because you sold me here for God, and the word here is Elohim. For Elohim sent me before you to what? Preserve life. Right? He didn't send them there to seek revenge and kill his entire wayward family, right? For the famine has been in the land these 2 years. So we're 2 years into the 7-year famine. And there are yet 5 years in which there will be neither plowing nor harvesting.
So he knows that there's going to be 5 more years.
Yeah, remember it goes back to the vision, 7 and 7. 7 years of plenty, 7 followed by 7 of famine. So only 2 out of 7. We're barely into this famine, right? And Elohim, verse 7, sent me before you to preserve for you a remnant on earth and to keep alive for you many survivors. Now remember, this genealogy from Joseph and Benjamin and the other 10 brothers through Jacob, back through Isaac, back through Abraham, all the way back. Eve and Adam, Garden of Eden, chapter 3, the fall. He promises proto-oingelion, the first proto-oingelion, the first announcing of the gospel. Go all the way back to over a year ago when we discussed this, that from Eve's body would come a zerah, a seed, an offspring who would crush the head of the serpent. So this is a specific example in time and history where God is doing whatever it takes to preserve the line of the future Messiah, right? So through Judah is going to come, all right? He doesn't just spare Judah and kill everybody else, right? Although, you would, hopefully you look at your family, even the wayward ones, and say, well, God, please don't kill them, spare their lives. I'm kind of frustrated with them right now. But don't kill them, God, even if they did sell me into slavery, right? You might think about it for a few minutes, but then hopefully mercy would prevail, right? So he's preserving Judah, who's carrying the Zerah, the future Messiah, in his flesh, in his lineage, right? And he's going to save the entire family so that there will be a remnant on earth. This is remnant theology. It's all throughout the Old Testament and the New Testament. God saving a few. Noah and the ark, 8 souls in all. Day of Pentecost, 120 believers in the church, right? Like I've told people, you think your church is small. It's been smaller throughout history. It's been as few as 2 in the garden, even, right? So wherever 2 or more are gathered in my name, who's with them in the midst of the garden? The second person of the Trinity, the future Jesus in the flesh, right? There are 3 in the garden. Oh, and then there's a 4th in the garden. The problem isn't Adam and Eve and the pre-incarnate Christ, it's the devil comes in, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Gets deep, doesn't it?
It does. All right, so here we are, verse 7, it's to preserve life, to save a remnant upon the earth, a remnant of believers, right? Verse 8, so it was not you who sent me here, but Elohim. Interesting. He has faith even in the midst of the emotional trauma. He has made me a father to Pharaoh and Lord of all his house, ruler over all the land of Egypt. Hurry and go up to my father. Now, why does he say up when he's going from west to east? Because remember, the Nile River flows into the Mediterranean Sea. Egypt, that portion of Egypt is largely flat land, right? They would even irrigate for crops, rice fields, everything else, through the Nile River, the fertile Delta Goshen region. But going up is topography, because you go up to the hill country of Amalek, which we're going to get into later on, where the Israelites are dwelling. So you're going up. That's why in the Gospels it always says Jesus went down from Jerusalem. It's going topography wise. Or Jesus went from Jericho up to Jerusalem. He's climbing a mountain. It's not, when we say up, we mean north. Yeah. When we say we go down, we're going south. That's because we're all flatlanders, right?
Yeah.
But I guarantee if they're probably out in the Rockies, they probably say we're going up to Denver. Well, Denver's at 6,000 feet. All right. So hurry, right? Because Jacob is an old man. Thus says your son Joseph, Elohim has made me Lord over all of Egypt. Come down to me. Go from the mountains, come down. Do not tarry. You shall, plus there's the famine too. You shall dwell in the land of Goshen, which is the fertilest, the best part of there. And you shall, which by the way, Pharaoh gave to, is going to give to them here in a moment. You shall be near to me, you and your children and your children's children and your flocks and your herds and all that you have. There I will provide for you. Right? He's the youngest brother, or the next to youngest brother. He was the youngest at one time. And now he's going to provide for the elders, right? Which is kind of flipping everything upside down. For there are yet 5 years of famine to come, so that you and your household and all that you have do not come into poverty. And now now your eyes see, and the eyes of my brother Benjamin see, that it is my mouth that speaks to you. You must tell my father of all my honor in Egypt and all that you have seen. Hurry and bring my father down here. Then he fell upon his brother Benjamin's neck and wept, right? This is his full-blood brother, same mom, right? And Benjamin wept upon his neck. So Benjamin, his whole life, has been hearing about the brother that was lost, that was torn to pieces. And now he finds out his brother is alive. And he kissed all of his brothers and wept upon them. All right, so he's the only one that's crying. You would think they would be crying, but he's the only one that's crying. After that...
Because more or less, he's blessing them.
Yeah, well, I mean...
By saving
Joseph
them.
is the one who has faith in all of this, right? Judah and Reuben and Simeon and Levi and the whole Gad and everybody else, Asher, Naphtali, the whole 9 yards, everything that they did was not an act of faith. It was an act of unbelief. So faith is the one that is gracious in this point, right? They are in fear at this point because we're going to find out later on. They're like, hey, Dad, can you tell Joseph not to kill us? You know. So even in the moment, the only one who's crying, the only one who feels the remorse and the anguish is Joseph, and Benjamin too, because his brother's being restored. But that's how you know the one who's really impacted by Elohim here. The one with the greatest faith is actually Joseph, right? So when the brothers, when the report was heard in Pharaoh's house, because I'm sure the interpreter was listening through the door, right? Joseph's brothers have come and pleased Pharaoh and his servants. That's great. Bring the whole family in. We've got them all, right? And Pharaoh said to Joseph, say to your brothers, do this. Load your beasts and go to the land of Canaan, etc., etc. Take wagons, take gifts, bring everyone back, etc. We got to speed up a little bit. Go to verse 21. The sons of Israel did so, and Joseph gave them wagons according to the command of Pharaoh, and gave them provisions for the journey. And to each one of them he gave a change of clothes. Interesting. Hold on to that thought. Right? Restoration happens, a new set of clothes. What? Why? That's interesting. But to Benjamin he gave 300 shekels of silver and 5 changes of clothes. Interesting. Just like earlier during the meal, he had 5 times the portion, right? To his father he sent as follows: 10 donkeys loaded with good things from Egypt, 10 female donkeys loaded with grain and bread and provisions for his father in the journey. And then he sent his brothers away, and as they departed he said to them, do not quarrel on the way. Right.
Now, why did you make the comment here? First, he sent 10 donkeys, and then female donkeys. What's the purpose? What's the difference? Are females better?
Procreate.
I'm just teasing, but it's just
Yeah, I mean,
why make a
so
distinction?
Remember, they're agrarian.
That's right.
They're agrarian people, and they're herdsmen. And whereas we're going to find out again here later on that the Egyptians looked down upon herdsmen, but in a subsistence call. See, like you get a notification on your phone that money has showed up in your bank account, right? And then you can take your credit cards, your debit cards, your pay apps and all this stuff, and you can just buy stuff, and stuff just shows up at your house, and you're like,
well, I don't do that.
What's the big deal? This is life on easy mode, right? Well, if you dial it back a few thousand or even a few hundred years, or even I would say in the United States even 100, 120 years, your parents and grandparents and great-grandparents were not living life on easy mode. They were not getting Amazon deliveries. Walmarts were not delivering the groceries. Matter of fact, there was no Walmart. and you were making stuff from scratch, and there's no microwaves, and and you would go out like, hey, what's for supper? We're having chicken tonight, as you're wringing the chicken's neck, right? Chop, defeather, you get the idea, right? There was no easy bake oven, right? Things were different. So yeah, I would think male and female donkeys, etc., sheep, goats, etc., is all part of what they need. Why? I'll ask, when I get up there, I will ask Moses, why specifically did the Holy Spirit tell you to say
the thing
Ten
is,
donkeys and 10
it's iterated in here.
Yeah, they need all this, right? So because you got to remember, when they're going to be moving 70 some people.
Right.
Now, if you're moving from, God forbid, but if you're moving from Columbia City and Indiana to 80 miles, I don't know why you would leave this blessed
That's
county.
right.
But let's say, God forbid, you're going down to, what's a county west of here? That's, we don't want to give anybody west of here. Let's say Michigan. We don't have any fans in Michigan. We're moving to Michigan, God forbid. Imagine if you have to move just you and Jerry, it would be enough work, but now 70 people are coming with you.
That's a lot of packing.
It's a lot of packing.
And no cars.
That's right, Kenny.
There's no white glove moves, no, U-Haul showing up and packing all your stuff. No, you're doing all that work. You need all those donkeys.
Is Joseph's father in good health, though?
Yes, as we're going to see here, he's still alive.
Yeah,
he's pushing over 100, I think, at this point. But all right, so there's the extra blessings that go to Benjamin, right? So all right, so don't quarrel on the way, right? Because think about this we never fight, right? Yeah. So what's going to happen is everything that they thought they had done and got away with and profited on has now been exposed. So now the blame game's got to start. They're going to start pointing fingers at one another. He's like, don't even argue about it. The whole thing's been exposed. The lies have been uncovered. Dad's going to find out. Ooh. I told you not to do that. Who was it? Reuben? Was it Reuben that interceded for him the first time? It's like, I told you not to do that, All right. Anyways. All right, final verses here of chapter 45. So they went up out of Egypt and came into the land of Canaan to their father Jacob, and they told him, Joseph is still alive, and he is ruler over all the land of Egypt, and his heart became numb, for he did not believe them, right? Hoping beyond, imagine losing a child for 20-some years. Your whole 20-some years you believed X, Y, and Z, and now you find out he's alive, and all of your sons have lied to you all but one, right? Yeah. Benjamin has no idea what's going on. Imagine being Benjamin too and finding out that.
Because he loved his brother.
You might be not trusting your siblings after that point. There'd be trust issues, as they call it nowadays, right? But when he told them all the words of Joseph, and he said to them, and when he saw the wagons that Joseph had sent to carry him, the spirit of their father Jacob revived, right? Hope springs eternal, right? And Israel said, it is enough. Joseph, my son, is still alive. I will go and see him before I die. All right, so next week we'll do 46. But looking at your handout here, think about the Christology here. It's a type of resurrection. He was dead, but now he's alive.
Yeah.
Right? Think of the prodigal son story, Luke chapter 15, I believe. Lost sheep, lost coin, lost son, right? The father thinks the son is dead. The brother's like, I'm glad he's dead, right? The older brother, right? But he comes back, and the older brother is now angry because the younger brother was a loser and lost half the fortune of the family, and now he's like, maybe he's back to get another half of my half, right? And he said, your brother was lost and is found. He was dead and he's alive again, right? So it is a type of resurrection, right? So what is Easter all about? How should we consider Joseph and Jesus' examples? Well, The holy apostles are also another layer in all this, right? Joseph's resurrection from the dead brings the fear of judgment, but also joy at forgiveness. What happens to the holy apostles, right? Jesus is dead. He's in the tomb. Thomas says, I will never believe unless I put my hand into his side and my fingers into the nail scars, right? Joseph, what does Jesus say? Get out of here. None of you stood by me. Only John and Mary stood by me at the cross. All you other losers just checked out. To hell with all of you. No, Jesus doesn't do that. Joseph doesn't do that. He says, come near to me, right? Come to the land of Goshen. I will take care of you, right? So following the resurrection, Joseph points us to Jesus. Jesus invites the apostles to draw near, right? Touch me, Thomas. Put your hand in my side. Do not disbelieve, but believe, he says, right? What else does Jesus tell his apostles? What does he do for them? Well, he appears to 100 on the road to Emmaus later on in Luke, right? In chapter 21 or 22, I think. He appears even to 500 of the brethren at one time. He eats with them. He speaks kindly with them. Remember, what does he tell Peter? Peace be with you, peace be with you, peace be with you. Well, is Jesus stuttering? Or is Jesus have a 56-year-old brain, Gen X brain lock, and he has to repeat himself over and over and over again? No.
Peter might have.
Right. Peter denies Jesus 3 times. I do not know the man. I do not know the man. I do not. 3 times he sinned. Apostasy is the worst kind of sin, right? And he says, peace be with you, peace be with you, peace be. It's triple absolution, right? I could use some triple absolution, Jesus, right? I probably need more than triple absolution, right? So he speaks, he says, come near to me, draw near, eat with me, speak with me, spend time with me. Well, what else, right? Well, then you get to verses 16 through 28 here in Genesis 45. Joseph sends gifts, right? What does Jesus send? Christ ascends to the right hand of the Father, but then he sends the Holy Spirit, right? Christ gives the word. He gives the sacrament. He speaks the absolution. What do we do in divine service every single time? We start off with we invoke the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. We have divine absolution after the confession of sins. He gives us his word. He gives us his sacraments, right? He washes us clean. Speaking of changes of clothing, right? Good Friday, I preached from St. Paul about the new creation. What's this? Excuse me. What's the symbol of the new creation? Our baptismal robes, right? We go into the feast, right? We wear the white garment. Remember Jesus' parable? There's a guy in there in the feast hall and he's not wearing the festal garment. And the king comes up and he goes, friend, how did you get in here? And the guy's like, And he says to the servants, bind him hand and foot and get him out of here, right? So new creation is symbolized by the white garments. Revelation on Sunday morning, they're before the throne. He says, and they said, how long, O Lord, how long? He says, calm down, wait a little while, take these white garments, right? It's over and over and over. So I would argue here that the new clothes and the change of clothing is Christology pointing towards the new creation, putting off the old self, putting on the new self. Joseph is raised from the dead. It's a type of resurrection here. He was dead, but now he's alive. There's a change of clothing, right?
So is the
Judah is
5
repentant.
So
Yes.
does the 5 mean anything that he gives Benjamin?
That was
Well,
3. The 5 change of clothes.
5 change
Five
of clothes, and then 5 times the food too, right?
Okay.
So is the
Right.
number 5 symbolic of something?
yeah.
I'll have to look up in my commentaries what the church fathers have to say. I'll have to get back to you on that.
Okay.
I assume that it's 5 times because my assumption would be it's more than just blood brothers, that Benjamin is actually the only innocent in this scenario, right? He gives gifts to those who are guilty, right? What does Jesus do for us? Are we innocent of all? No, we're guilty of all of our sins, right? If it had been you and I in Jerusalem on Good Friday, we probably too would have shouted, crucify him. You're like, Pastor, I would have never done that. I would have gone with him to prison, even death. Well, that's what Peter said. And when the moment of truth came, the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak, right? And when guys are coming with clubs and torches and swords, it's like, Jesus, I got your back the whole way. I'll be right back. See ya, right? The spirit is willing. We talk big games, but when the life is on the line, you're facing threat of death and punishment and who knows, maybe torture. The flesh is like, you got to get out of here. Deny him 3 times, right? So I think that's what why Benjamin is more than just blood brother. He's actually the innocent party. He was not involved in the selling of Joseph into Egypt. He wasn't around. All right, so now getting back to the gifts and the sending of the Spirit and the Word, and now back to Joseph. Notice here what the patriarch Israel says. It is enough. He doesn't care about the wagons and the female donkeys and the male donkeys and the spices and the food and all that's great. But it's enough that my son is alive, right? He wants to see him one more time, right? So that's this is similar. It's pointing us, this whole exchange is a type of that which is yet to come too, right? Where are we going, right? We're headed, he's like, well, first of all, Pastor, I'm going home and I'm going to have lunch here. No, but where are you going eternally, right? You want to cross over the Jordan. You want to go into the new Goshen, the new Jerusalem, the new heavens, the new earth, right? You want to go to be with Jesus, like the brothers and the father wanted to go and be with Joseph, into a new land with new clothes and new food and better everything, right? So we don't have to worry about our previous discussion, all the darn politicians and all that other stuff and the everything that's craziness that's going on in the world, right? So my argument to you is all of this is pointing to, this is a reflection of the perfection that is fulfilled in the person and work, the life of Jesus of Nazareth, right? So the resurrection is enough. It is life out of death, right? I don't know about you all, but I'm getting older and I'm not getting prettier. And my teeth aren't quite as good as they used to be, and everything, my eyesight, I find myself wearing those reader glasses now, although I should have those on right now. And it's enough, the resurrection is enough, because it's a restoration of that which is lost with the body. However, God does abundantly even more than what we ask. My favorite verse in the New Testament, well, there's so many, but one of my favorite verses is, eye has not seen, nor ear heard, nor mind conceived of what God has prepared for those who love him, right? So my imagination is pretty good, and I can imagine a lot of cool stuff, and I know you can too, right? That's why everybody wants to win the lottery. It's like, well, I would do this, and I would build a big house, and I'd get another house over here, and I'd get a third vacation home, and I'd be like a billionaire, and have 20 vacation homes with staff, and right? You can imagine all kinds of craziness, right? I get the Ferrari. No, I want the Lambo. Why not have both, right? You can imagine all kinds of craziness. That's what the fun of buying a $2 lottery ticket is. It's the entertainment of all, but you have a 1 in 263 million chance of winning. It's not likely, right? But with Christ, right, he promises to make all things new, to raise your flesh, new heavens, new earth, new Jerusalem, new clothes, better food, the river of life, everything is restored, no more quarreling along the way, right? So you get the idea. Jesus is the better Joseph. Any questions?
I like the way they put that in there, though. Do not quarrel.
On the way. Yes. So you can buy internet, and I'll make my little joke here. Bye.